welcome to a new live show, live streaming, and this time we have a different kind of setup. I hope the audio is better and the video quality is much better. And just before we start, if you can post in the chat room if you can hear us okay? Dima, if you can test to see if everything goes well?
Yeah, I think so. Hello everyone. Welcome to our new stream.
So we were thinking to maybe do such streams every week. We'll see how it goes. And every week to take one main subject, discuss it, and then maybe have two other parts for the live stream. One should be like, let's recommend a documentary from Video on It, and another section maybe could be like discussing a few interesting news from TROM News, TROM Curated news. And lastly, towards the end of the live stream, we are going to check the chat and we are going to interact with you, like I'm going to show you right now. Yep. Okay, you can see now the chat. It's on focus, so we are going to go through your questions if you have any questions. So today also I'm going to show you a new operating system that we've done for TROM. It is based on Linux, and because I wanted to show you that, I was thinking let's discuss about open source in general to give you some idea what open source is and why it's important and some thoughts about that. So I was curious just to bring Dima into conversation, do you use open source and what do you think about open source? What do you think about open source in general?
Yeah, I think today everyone using open source, either they know about it or not, but it's in so many ways, in so many software like the Firefox, for example.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing idea of sharing, the code of something you created, and it's more about like community. So that's you can create and somebody else can take it and pass it over, improve it or change it and make its own version of the software. So let's say you've got something and let's say the software doesn't meet your personal needs, so you can open the code, you can improve it, change it and make your own version of it, and then you can also share and other people can use it.
I think it's also a lot about the community itself and a mindset, this mindset of doing something without asking anything in return, because if you make something that's open source, it's pretty difficult to sell that because it's open source and anyone can copy it. So in a sense, they don't say in the open source community that you are not allowed to sell your software, but it kind of makes it impossible to sell it. So I think that's what I like. It's in a way it's a bit forced upon them to just share it with the world. But of course, unfortunately, it's they are like us, and they rely only on donations because of this, because every project is open source. Linux, for example, is perhaps the biggest, I'm sure the biggest project that is open sourced, but it's backed up by a lot of companies that have a lot of interest there. Yet on top of it, they could build a lot of not only different operating systems, but all kinds of applications, and I think that's fantastic. And for example, what did you use before using Linux? What operating system on your computer?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, before I was on Windows, and now I switched to Ubuntu, and on Linux. I actually had it before, but then I somehow find it complicated, like 5 years ago or so, and now I switched it back, and it's working perfectly. And you basically can find any substitute for most of the software you need, if not all of them. So let's say instead of Photoshop, you can use GIMP, which is very, very similar. It's still kind of in developing and some features are lacking, but it's really, consider it, you can get it for free, and it constantly gets updated. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Or let's say I'm a musician and I do record a lot of music as a job. So before I was using, you know, different kind of software like Cubase or Logic, and they're very, very expensive. And so like the version could cost you like 500 euros. And then you need to also pay for the next update. They release like updates, I don't know, every year or frequently. And if you want, you know, updated version, you also have to pay. And yeah, and I found like great substitute on Linux, which is called Ardor. I can give a link if anybody interested in it, and I like it. It fits all my needs really, and it's open source and free, and it's constantly get improved. And
Yeah, no,
it's amazing.
and even I was a bit scared of Linux because I was using Windows for so long, and every time Linux was like this. Maybe I have to learn to code to use Linux. You know, maybe I will miss Photoshop, maybe I will miss Sony Vegas for editing. And when I made TROM documentary, for example, I mean, I have to admit, I had to pirate all of the software because I had no money. How to have money to make a documentary? You know, it would have cost me a lot of money, and it was so normal to pirate stuff back then that I didn't even think about like open source alternatives. And I think that's the reason that I want to showcase now to people how easy it is to have a Linux operating system, and why it's important, because some may ask like, why should I care? You know, I can use my Mac OS or Windows the same way, because for one, it's free. So if you are poor, let's say you are poor and you want to make a documentary, or you want to make videos or write books or stuff like that to express yourself, then how are you going to do it? Maybe you are going to pirate stuff, but that's the only way. And on Linux, it's so much better from so many perspectives. Like, you don't have to install any drivers. You don't have to go on all kinds of websites to download software. And I'm going to show you all of that. And I think why, for example, I started to use Linux as an experiment, Ubuntu, like 6 years ago, but I was curious what made you start, you know, give up on Windows and finally go for Ubuntu.
Okay, yeah. It's like the whole open source culture. I started, you know, to read more and find a lot of information about it, and I decided, yeah, I should go for Linux. You know, it's just, instead of, you know, pirating, you can get access for free, just the same you said. So let's say I'm from Latvia, and you know, like when computers arrived like 15 years ago or so, and everybody I knew around had hacked Windows versions. Like nobody ever had like licensed version. Even in companies you go and they all have the hacked versions, and this happens with all the software. You know, you need like recording, video, audio editors, everything was hacked and cracked and so on. So I think instead of, you know, hacking and you know, hassling with it, you can just get the same, you know, the same instrument, the same tool for free, open source, and the people just collaborating, you know, the companies doesn't, you know, track you and anything. The best thing about, you know, open source, there's no adverts. So
Exactly.
let's say I've got a tablet and I just installed a lot of open source applications. There's like a alternative to Google Play. It's FOSS Market, yeah, free open source software. And like, you know, such simple things like ebook reader. And I've got it. It's like nothing complicated. You just, you know, open, you know, PDF files or EPUB, whatever, and there is no adverts, and it's so cool. You just read it.
Exactly.
And if you go on Google Play, there's tons of free, you know, ebook readers, but all of them have like adverts, and
they are free, you know.
Yeah, they're free, of course, yeah, but they track you and they bump adverts like all the time.
I used to
sell some premium stuff. Yeah, go on.
I used to actually repair computers for my friends, and Windows was always a pain in the ass because it gets slower and slower, and if you pirate stuff, then that stuff doesn't get updated, and it's going to turn against you in a way. You pirate it, or you just use. I tried a few months ago. I made it even a video on my channel. I tried to reinstall Windows to see how it is, and wow, they made everything so like, you know how it is? It's like what smartphones have become nowadays, because on smartphone you don't have control. They have control over your stuff. So my smartphone updated like 3-4 months ago, and after I finished the update, I have a Samsung Galaxy S7. They installed a Facebook app, Instagram, and WhatsApp on my phone. I never had those apps installed, you know, so they installed them for me. Yeah. How is that possible? I was shocked, and I cannot uninstall them. I can only disable them. To me, this is like mind-blowing. If Linux would do that to me, I would be really pissed off, because it's really crazy. And phones right now, that's why it's so difficult to block ads on phones, because what many people may not know is that right now when you access the internet, you access it through a browser. But on smartphones, that's not the case anymore. Most people access the internet through applications, and they act like a browser, and the application is controlled by the company. Facebook controls its Facebook application and is going to filter all of your internet, while on my desktop I can use Mozilla to access Facebook. But on smartphone, most people don't use the browser to access Facebook. So now they have a lot of control, and I see Windows, when I tried it, I see they doing the same thing with their Windows Store. I tried to install something, and it was actually a trial. I could only use it for a week, you know, all kinds of shit like that. And I'm going to show everyone that Linux is not like that at all, at least not for now. But it's not like that.
Yeah, you know, like when you install Linux, like any platform, let's say I'm using Ubuntu, at first it seems quite complicated, but with the time it becomes easier and easier. I mean, now the recent invention, I don't know, maybe it's not so recent, but I think it is, like the app images, and it makes you know, downloading and installing software so easy. You just download one file and just run the whole program through one file, like through one executable file.
Yeah. Let me show then the operating system, just to, because we can talk about such things while I show you the TROM operating system. And like a disclaimer, this is Linux. Linux is the core of an operating system, basically, from what I understand. It makes sure that your camera works, your mouse works, your keyboard works, and everything else. And on top of it, many people have built all kinds of operating systems: Manjaro, Ubuntu, Mint, and so forth. And because of this, you have so many choices. Okay, and for my choice, I'm using what is called Manjaro-Linux, or Manjaro Arch. And because they are very new at the moment and very active, and they made it so simple for people to use Linux, and they are very up to date with all of the software. So I'm going to show you. So most of the real heroes here are the people from Linux and the people from Manjaro. What I've done is to pre-install some applications, to set them up, to set the environment, and I'm going to show you now. 1 second.
Yeah, and that's cool thing about it, you know. There's somebody creates something and you can make a version of it.
Exactly, yeah. I think you can see now on the screen. Can you see?
Yep.
Okay, so basically this is the entire operating system, which is extremely easy to use. I made it super easy. On top here, I will show you first the way that it looks and what you can do with it, and how flexible it is. If you don't like it how it looks right now, you can change anything. So on top you have the active bar, where you can change the volume, you can change anything, you can add extensions to your operating system. Extensions are like, for example, you want a bar somewhere or a clock in the middle, or they are extensions. that you can install to the operating system. Very, very easy, and I'm going to show you how. For example, now we have several extensions here, and I will show you what they do if I deactivate them or I activate other extensions. And in the left side, these are the applications. It's so simple. Left side applications, top are active, basically, applications and indicators. So here we have a list of applications, and before we go through all of the applications that you can find here at the bottom, I want to show you a bit how flexible this operating system is in terms of how it looks and what you can do with it. For example, if I right click here and I go to the settings, I can change the size of the panel. As you can see, I can make it dynamic. I can put it at the bottom if I want. I can put it at the top. I can put it to right. Okay, you can have so many things like appearance. You see, when something is open, you have a bar in the left side. Well, you can change it to dots or something like that. So you see how flexible it is. Use dominant color, use enable like that. You see, you have so many options, and everything here it's done because I had access to multiple tools. Basically, I take what is known, what is already done, and I customize it any way I want to. Okay, so when you are going to install this operating system, everything that you see here will be set up and installed right from the get-go. You don't have to do much, and you will see that with Linux, something that's really interesting is that you can burn this ISO image on a flash drive, plug it into your computer, and simply boot it, and you don't have to install it. It is going to look like that, like it's an operating system. You boot straight into the operating system, which is extremely interesting because you can test everything, and if you like it, you install it. If you don't install it. You can try it before you. That's okay.
That's very interesting. I didn't know it's possible.
Yeah, even with Ubuntu is possible. I'm not sure the latest versions, but Linux always operated like that. Like they let you, test everything.
That's cool.
Okay, so simply here is the files, the file manager. It's a simple file manager. And what is so cool about Linux is that, you see, when I had Windows, I never used documents, downloads, all of those folders. I always created others for myself, and it was a mess. But here they matter. Why? Because the home folder is where every setting in your operating system is stored. And in the other location in computer here, it's where the operating system is stored. Why is this important? Because if you want to move to another operating system, to Ubuntu say, I can simply copy this folder, put it on my external hard drive, then install Ubuntu, and I can restore all of my settings, the way that the desktop looks like, pretty much everything. And this is fantastic. I don't know any things like that for Windows, for example. And just to show you a bit of customization, for example, if you go to tweaks, you can customize the way that it looks like. I like when it's on like a darker tone, the entire operating system. I like it like that, but maybe other people will like it differently. Look how many themes you have here, and you can install so many other themes. These are the themes that I installed for you. You can even change your cursor to look like this, all kinds of crazy things like this. Hold on, let me put it back. Okay, you see how many types of cursors you have. You can change even the icons. You can see you can change the icons. So this may not seem like important, but just to show you that you have so much control over how it looks like, and you will see how it behaves. Okay, so one thing that I've done for this operating system that I think is very important is the Firefox application, the browser, because that's the window to the internet. And I customized it in a way that from the get-go it will stop advertisings, it will stop websites from tracking you, it will stop all kinds of scripts to follow you online, you see. And I think that's really important. And I do that because, you know,
so Theo, did you pre-install some extension to do the blocking?
Yeah, I pre-installed extensions and I configured them a bit, you know. And you know, I'm doing such things because I'm used to setting this up for my parents to not do all kinds of shitty things online, to not download shit or see so much advertising. So I want to make it in a way that it's so simple that even my parents can use it, you know. So because if I tell my parents you should go to install an ad blocker extension, they have no idea what that is, you know. So I want for them to have everything from the get-go. Even like when you go into a new tab, I installed something, so you can see here you have direct access to TROM site, to TROM curated news, curated videos, links that are to our website and are extremely useful. Watch videos, documentaries, news. You can edit everything, you can remove, you can add new stuff to it. You see, it's really useful. And through the same browser, just to show you something, if I open the GNOME shell extensions, not only shell extensions, but GNOME desktop extensions, this is where you can install extensions directly from your browser to your operating system to make it look any way that you want to. And just to show you something that makes it look more like Windows, just to give you a simple example, if I install this, because I know about this extension, I used it before, you can test all kinds of extensions and whatever suits you, you know. Simply you go there, I will show you how simple this is, and you click on to enable it and install, and now it should activate. Okay, it activated. It has a panel at the bottom. You see, I can remove the other panel if I want to. Install extensions. From here, I will, just to show you that you can make it like Windows if you want to, like that. This looks more like Windows. Even when you hover with the mice, it looks like Windows. You see, just a click away if you want everything to be at the bottom, you know. And this is just a simple way to show you something. And by the way, if you add comments to the live chat, we are going to reply to them afterwards at the end. Okay, let me put this back again, and I will show you some really cool applications. This, see, I simply enable or disable them, and that's how it is. Or I can remove them from here. Let me remove this one because I don't need it. And let me show you, for example, if you go on YouTube, you know how YouTube is very annoying, but everyone has to use it, even ourselves, because you know it's the biggest. It has no competitors. So on YouTube, you know that everything is a mess. They autoplay the next video and stuff like that, and they put advertising. But here you shouldn't get any advertising. If you click on any video, if YouTube lets me click on any video, okay. This is in a virtual box, so if it works a bit slower, it's because of that. Okay, as you can see here, let me mute it. You don't see any advertising. And even autoplay may be marked like this, but it should stop you from it. It should stop the video from autoplaying, because that's what YouTube wants you. It wants you to stay and watch tons of shitty videos. When you scroll down, you can see the video on the right, so you can move it. I think it has something that you can move. But in any case, it's just like to show you the details here that I've added to make a better experience for you, even for websites like YouTube. And just to show you another thing that I've done, because I've been focusing on the details. So you have multiple workspaces, for example. Here you can see if you have any updates, it will get a notification. Here you can stop the notifications if you want to not be disturbed for a period of time. And I even did something for you know, when you want to take a screenshot, for example, what do you use? Do you use such things? Because I use them all the time to report bugs and stuff like that. Do you use them, something like that, to take screenshots and for all kinds of reasons?
Yeah, there are extensions on in a browser, so you just there's lots.
Yeah, but look at this one. You can simply print screen. Let me see where it is on my here. You can click the keyboard button, keyboard key to print screen, and now you can do a screenshot of anything. Not only that, but when you finish selecting it, you can put arrows, you can put all kinds of stuff to it. You can even, if you want to make something blur so that a text is not visible or something like that, you can even upload it online and share a link, or open it directly in an application that you have installed on your computer, or simply save it. You can even copy it, like Control-C on most computers, and you can paste it anywhere, like that. You see, captured. And you have here on the right side, you have the notifications. I mean, I cannot explain to you every detail, but just to give you an idea. So even, did you like that? I think, because I use it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you use it so often, it's really comfortable to have it, you know, just with one.
Because I have to, sometimes there are bugs on TROM site, and I have to send to Ziad, because he is a wizard and he can solve anything, but I have to send him, like, look, with an arrow here and something besides that, and I have to. So the way that it looks mostly like Ubuntu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
from familiar.
And now I can go through the applications that I've installed, because that's the most interesting part of this. And then I will show you how easy you can install, uninstall, and do all kinds of stuff like that. So this at the bottom, this is the place where all of the applications are. And when you feel lost, just click it, and you can type anything here, like settings, and you'll find settings. Or even if you want to find the sound settings directly, sound settings, you see, and if you click them, it will open the sound settings. You see how easy it is to access everything from here. And I made some folders for people so that it's easier for them to know exactly what these applications are all about. But you can right click and you can rename, you can add another category, add another folder. You can move them from one folder to another. It's so flexible. So let me start with audio, video, and photo, because on my computer I do a lot of stuff. I edit videos, edit audio files, edit images. I make websites, so I need to optimize images. I write books, I design books, so I do a lot of stuff. And because I do a lot of stuff, I tested a lot of Linux software, and I may know what are the best alternatives, okay? And of course you can install anything else or uninstall. So audio and video and photo. For example, Audacity. Did you use Audacity?
No, not really. I use Adore. It's way more.
Oh, it's better
for me. No, it just have way more functionality and options. Like Audacity is very basic.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know, because yeah, I didn't want to install anything that's too, like, from my knowledge, I use this to remove the background noise or level the audio and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. For such simple, occasions, you can use Audacity.
Yeah. For example, ClipGrab. ClipGrab it's a very neat application that you can use to download from YouTube any video. Not only that, for example, if you click on video, you can select the quality, or you can select to download in MP3 or any format. So this is super useful. It works with many websites. If you need for a project or something, I need it for when we make videos from our books. Maybe I need a part from a video, and I always like put in the description where this video is from and what video it is. But it's useful if you need to download from YouTube. I even added here an extension that allows you to download directly from the browser if you need that. So that's really cool. What else? Convert scene. This is to convert images if you need that. We have software to convert images, photos, videos. This is a really interesting little application that I use for the website or when I edit images, because you click it and it allows you to go anywhere on the screen. You see this magnifying glass and just pick up the color, any color on the screen. You see? And that's really cool. You click it and it copied the color, and I can paste it into my website if I want to get the same kind of color. Okay. Handbrake. This is, I think, the best video converter on,
yeah, I'm using it too.
Yeah, on Linux. It's really quick and it does the job. So you have I know on Windows I always had to install video converters, and I installed one and then the license is like expired, or I didn't have the proper codecs, I didn't have the you know, it was a fucking mess. But not here. Not here. For example, just because I'm at this subject, something that Windows people may not be used to is that videos, photos and everything else just work out of the box. You don't need any codecs. You don't need any of that. This is our TROM trailer. If you click it, it is going to open it directly and it is going to work. You know, it's not... Did you find that useful? Because I really liked that aspect of Linux, to not need to install drivers and stuff like that.
Of course, it's amazing. It's even not only for software, but also for hardware. Let's say I'm using external audio card, and just first time I connected it to the Ubuntu, yeah, and I don't know, like second or 2 seconds, it's like hop, and it's running. it's ready to go. And then on Windows, if I plug it, I need to go to website, I need to download, you know, extension and sometimes programs, install it, check if everything right, and only then I can use it. And then you open, you know, the software, you know, it's a recording program, and then you need to go to settings and apply it, and when in Linux it's just done in 2 seconds. That's amazing.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it might not work for everything.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's the downside.
If you're lucky, then it's really easy.
The downside is Linux because Linux is trying to basically figure out all of such things with your hardware. Is trying to recognize every piece of hardware, and of course sometimes there is like a weird piece of hardware from who knows what country and is not going to work. And yeah, there are problems here, because you see, when Windows, many people may not realize this, but on Windows or Mac OS, when someone makes a piece of hardware like headphones, let's say, they also make a driver for that to work for Windows or to work for Mac OS. Well, for Linux no one does this, or very rarely, because they don't have any interest. They cannot sell that. You see, that's the problem. So volunteers or just people who work for Linux have to do this manually, and it can be a hit or miss. But so far, for me, I mean, I have Bluetooth speakers and Bluetooth headphones, and I have a wireless mouse. Everything works. I plug it in and it works. I don't have to do anything. As for video files or audio files, or everything works. I can double click and it does. On Windows I had to go to install all kinds of codecs because maybe MOV files didn't work, or maybe that file doesn't work. It was always a hit or miss, and not only hit or miss, but it was hunting. You had to hunt for websites. You will see here you don't have to do this anymore. So you see, you have a video converter if you want to convert videos, just to use your computer like a powerful tool. This is your weapon for good, hopefully for good, to create stuff. Without a computer I could not have created TROM or express myself. Other people couldn't have created the projects that they had created or connect with other people. So it's very important to have a great, not only great, but useful and functional and free, trade-free operating system. This is a very cool application that you can use to optimize images. It's so wonderful because I always need that for websites. I need to, let me see some photos. I need to optimize images, you know, and it's always a bit trickier because you have to select everything manually. But here you can see you can add as many photos as you want, and not only you can scale down the file size and the compression, but it is going to show you exactly how much it will compress. These images are quite compressed, but let me show you something cool. If you can click one and you can go to details, you can see the before conversion, how it looks like. And if you convert it too much and you click afterwards, and I'm not sure if it's going to showcase on YouTube, but if you click afterwards, you will see artifacts. You will see that it's not a good compression. So it's so useful to reduce the size of images, and in batch, you know, you can do that for multiple images, and it's really, really cool. So you have a video converter, photo converter. You will also have an audio converter. But before that, you have program to edit vector images, very useful. I create TROM logos in this one. You have a color chooser if you like need a palette of colors to choose one. You know, they can be very handy for people, not for everyone, but I installed a bunch of applications so that if you don't need them, you can uninstall them. And the very popular Kdenlive. Did you use Kdenlive?
Yeah, that's my video editing tool. It's kind of okay, it works. It's still kind of lacking a lot of features, but I mean, if you don't do anything super complicated, it's totally okay. I mean, I'm using it maybe for half year now or even longer so far. It's really fits all my needs.
Because this is the area where it's kind of difficult for the Linux community to compete with proprietary. When you do software to convert images or photos, it's not that difficult. But when you make a video editor like this one, you can imagine how many things you have to take into account, how many types of files, effects, and so forth. So it's so difficult, and you need a lot of people here, you know. And because they are doing this for free and they rely on donations, that's the best that they can do in terms of video and photo editors. But even so, the alternatives like Kdenlive, I use it for TROM series. I've done a lot of stuff with it, and it works quite good. I mean, for most needs, if you don't have to do something that's too advanced, this is perfect and it's free. Imagine that. I know in Windows they had something like Movie Maker that was free, but it was of course part of the Windows ecosystem, and it was shitty.
But it was also very limited. I mean,
extremely limited.
Much there, yeah.
No, here you can do all kinds of stuff, like even motion tracking. You can do all kinds of transitions and colors and conversions on the fly. This is what I liked about this one, because if you put, for example, just to give you a small example, if you put a video here and you need this video to be in another format, I think you can convert it, transcode, you see, and you can convert it from here, you can extract the audio. So it can be very useful if you want, you know, and you have lots of effects here.
Yeah, and also you can implement different kind of effects from other manufacturers there, which is also helpful. Like if you want any specific effects, you can just add to them, add more.
Yeah. Okay, so this is so you have a video editor that is the best in Linux. I've tried many, but this one is the best. Sometimes it crashes, and yeah, you get a bit like frustrated, but very rarely. Only if you do like crazy stuff like me with a ton of layers, one on top of the other. Okay, and for photo editing, many people, like even Dima said, you get GIMP, but from my tests, Krita, it's much better. It's quite like a few levels better in my opinion for photo editing, because GIMP has this destructive layer. If you know what that is, if you put secret, if you put a photo, for example, to edit a photo, if we put it in Krita, let me show you. You put it like that, and you manipulate the photo. You make the photo bigger or smaller, then it's going to keep the same kind of resolution, which is a normal way. Well, I cannot do it here properly because it's in a virtual machine, but in GIMP, if you put an image, if you make that image smaller, then if you want to make that image bigger again, it is going to be at a very low quality.
Yeah,
and that's extremely problematic. But here, no, here this is very like Photoshop, even like layer styles, and you can add shadows, you can add whatever effects, and you can remove them afterwards. In GIMP, even adding an shadow, it's a bit tricky, and it's not editable.
Yeah. Okay. I never heard about Krita, so I have to.
Krita, it's extremely. It's designed more for digital drawing, and they do crazy stuff with it. Like, if you see some of the artwork, it's amazing what they can do with this program. It's fantastic. Do you know Blender, for example?
Yeah, no, Blender. Yeah.
The same way is like Blender, because you saw how they can do with Blender all kinds of amazing animations.
Yeah, but it's mainly for animations and drawing.
Yeah, it's for 3D animation. Okay, so you can see we have covered a lot of, hold on, from audio, photo, and video. And one more, this is the sound converter. It's simply a sound converter. So I think we have everything covered here. I think it's a lot, that it's everything that someone wants to edit video, photos, and audio files. Okay, let's go a bit quicker. I have installed for you some backup tools that are extremely useful, and I'm going to explain to you more when this operating system will be basically released. I'm going to give you a beta for testing, a link at the end of this live stream. But these applications are extremely useful. Like this one, Timeshift, it backups all of your operating system. I usually backup just my system, not my settings. I use this for my settings, I use this for my system, just to keep them separated if I want to restore only files or only the system. So it's so great that even if your computer doesn't boot anymore, you can restore it, which is fantastic. You can restore it like it was an hour ago. I even installed this on my parents' computer because I know that maybe they are going to do an update or something, and I can easily restore their computer in a few clicks. But I will teach you more about this later on when we have this. I even installed some stuff for curiosity, like Celestia, which is really cool. Let me show you a little bit. This is just to put some flavor on this operating system. You can explore the entire universe basically with this little application, and it has the correct values for. Let me see. Okay, because I was talking and I was thinking maybe the live stream interrupted because I didn't hear you. Okay, so it's working. You can say go to Saturn or go to somewhere else, and you can read about all kinds of planets, and which is really interesting. Let's see. Yeah, just for people who are curious. I'm very curious about such stuff. So I thought let's put some interesting things. Okay. Internet. Okay. So with this application, you can access your server. This one is Firefox, as you know. Jitsi Meet is extremely interesting. This is what we use right now to communicate with each other, me and Dima, directly, and then we stream it to another program that I'm going to show you how it works. But this one, Jitsi, it's so interesting because it's like a Skype, but you don't need an account. So let me show you how it is. Yeah. It's so simple. We both have it. Simply, you can add here a link, a unique link, not a link, but just a name, and you click go, and that's it. You are basically live, and whoever has this name, it can communicate with you, and you can put a password to keep it private. Everything is encrypted, everything is open source. It's extremely useful. I mean, Skype is not, you cannot compare it because this one is designed specifically for this, not for chatting or stuff like that. So it's really useful. Another one is QTalks. It's encrypted and it's a standalone. This one works with a server online basically, and as far as I know, this one, you create an account on your Linux machine, you connect to another Linux machine and you have encrypted video, chat, audio, everything. Riot is what we use for TROM teams. This is what we use to communicate. It's really interesting. It's like Slack, but it's free and open source and decentralized. Signal is like on WhatsApp, but it's again free, and it's because WhatsApp is not free. They collect a lot of data, even if they say they don't. They collect metadata, which is like when you called someone, what hour, blah blah blah. This one, no, this one is made specifically to not be like that. And we have an alternative for Dropbox syncing. I'm using this. I set up this on my computer and on my phone, and basically I choose a folder, and that folder is going to synchronize on both machines, which is really useful. Okay, and Thunderbird for email. If you use email, not many people are using, and I understand this, they use Gmail, they use maybe Yahoo, some people use, maybe not many people are using email in general. Do you see that trend? Because I see it like they only use messaging apps or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how many. I think everyone got emails, but people more get used now to just send messages on Messenger or WhatsApp. Or
yeah, I don't like that. I don't like to type directly. I like to just think a lot about when someone sends me an email. I have to think what I'm going to reply. I don't. But very few people, I wanted to say that they have a personal email. They have with Gmail, for example, we have contact@tromsite.com or my website, but you need a website for that.
Yeah.
So the Office suite is exactly like Microsoft Office, but it's again free. This is what I use to create TROM books. I write in LibreOffice and I design in LibreOffice Draw. I write in the LibreOffice Writer and draw in the LibreOffice Draw. And it's, for me, it's from all of my tests, it's, I don't know why some people may say OL is not on par with Microsoft Office, because I use both, and I think this is fantastic. It's a fantastic tool. If I can design pages that are books that are 700-800 pages long, and I can write so much, I think it does the job properly, So yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect tool also for translation of let's say TROM books
Exactly.
or any other books. Yeah, it's just so easy to manipulate and do editing and everything. Yeah, and also like LibreOffice is great substitute for any Windows Excel or Word.
And I think Office now, Microsoft Office has like monthly basis plan. I don't know if they sell it anymore. They have like, I don't like this kind of model. You have to pay monthly now, not only one time.
yeah.
Which is crazy. You don't own the software anymore.
Yeah, actually you never did, because if you buy one version, it's only allowed to use only on your computer. You can.
Yeah.
So is it yours? I mean, and if you want to change something and you want to go into the code, you can't, because you don't have access. So is it really yours then?
Yeah.
And I can see that, of course. Yeah, the subscription models is like exploding everywhere.
It's very cancerous in my view.
Yeah, of course. The audio and video software, like everywhere now, or live streaming services, let's say like video streaming, like Netflix and everywhere. So you just have to pay monthly, and it seems like it's not such a big amount, but you pay each month for just to access something. And,
yeah. And I think they first started with I will make you pay for new features and updates, and then they pushed.
Yeah, because it's harder today to sell like a product, because people start to get used to internet. A lot of things you can get for free. So yeah, and as soon as they release some new program, people will crack it and upload on torrents. So, but if you've got subscriptions, more people at the end will be using it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of trick from their side. And also money goes constantly, not you just bought once and then they need to, to think of, okay, a new product,
Yeah,
how to
say
sell it again. Yeah.
like say you use, like I used Google Documents, Google Docs, and I had a lot of documents there, and it was very difficult for me to give up to my subscription because I had so much stuff there. You invest so much work and files and so forth that it's a trap. They trap you, and it's very hard for you to get out. That's another problem.
Have you found any alternative for Google Docs? Because I also use them, but I don't know.
I mean, the alternative here is that, you see, I think it's a problem like it's a problem with YouTube. You don't find any good alternative for YouTube because you need lots of servers and lots of synchronization and lots. You have LibreOffice Writer, for example, and it does a better job than Google Docs. But what you don't have is the online collaboration. You know, I think that's what you are looking for, the online collaboration between, right? That's what you are looking for?
Yeah, I mean, when you can share the files, like Google Docs is really like the main point I using, and we're using it together also for editing and stuff, is that everyone can access it. I mean, it's just saved on the cloud, and you can access, you can edit. I've add comments, and you can check them.
You can add comments on. Yeah, you can add the comments.
We don't need to send files to each other. It's just lying on the cloud, and both have access. So yeah,
that was my point, because you need servers. You need a lot of synchronization. You need backups, and that's extremely expensive. There are alternatives that made LibreOffice in the cloud. There are such things like Nextcloud. Nextcloud is like a complete alternative to Dropbox and Google Docs, but right now they say it's free and open source, and it is, but only if you install it and you set up a server for you, then it's free. But I tried it, and even I failed, and it's a bit complicated, because when I have my files on Dropbox, for example, I know they are online, but when I have my files on my own server, that means it's a computer basically. So I still have it in my home, and so it's complicated. It's very difficult to find alternatives for such things that are free. In the same way that you don't find a virtual private Newton that is free, because they need servers, they need synchronization. It's a different kind of thing when they make LibreOffice and put the code online and everyone can install on their machines. But if they have to invest money all the time to synchronize servers, to do backups and stuff like that, that is going to cost them a lot of money. And I don't think the donation model can work that well. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see. I've got another question for you, maybe. So, like, can you substitute everything with open source software? Like, I decided to go completely, open source and free software to try to implement everything, but still I'm using something like like Google Docs or anything. I cannot at the moment replace everything with free and open source software. So what about you?
So what do you use besides Google Docs?
I think it's mainly Google Docs, and I don't even know. Like instead of Google, let's say I'm using DuckDuckGo. Even it's not open source, but still it's at least doesn't track you when you search files online.
And by the way, this is the default browser that I set up for Mozilla for this operating system.
I found it really cool working. By the way, it's like, because on Google you always have this biased results. You always get this others and paid, the paid websites who pay for the promotion, and
yeah, and they track you down. And I was joking at one point that I searched so much, at least in the past, for books, and so much crap I searched on Google, then if they had a profile on me, I would go to jail. Because I searched for so much crazy stuff.
But you know what? It was really complicated to switch from Google. Like, I started to hate it like maybe a year ago or so, and I think, okay, I have to find alternatives. So I looked for a few, and I found this DuckDuckGo and start using it. and still it was like a month or so transition from Google to DuckDuckGo. Somehow you start type at DuckDuckGo and you don't like the result it gives you because it's usually not so, you know, like popular or obvious. It gives you some other sources than Google.
I think
like
this is a very important point, because I've noticed this even with me, because if you think about it, even on Linux, I was using Linux and then it crashed me or something, and I was like, oh man, you know, because it's open source. But I forgot that Windows also crashed on me so many times, you know. And I think it's the same here. When I use DuckDuckGo, maybe like you said, maybe I was thinking, the search results are not that great, but I happened to go into same kind of problem with Google many times, but I forgot, because I'm comparing it with Google, and I'm like, why am I comparing it with Google? Just compare it to see if it yields better results. But the entire idea of replacing software, I mean, it's very interesting, because I have a friend who is in college, and I give him a new pipe. It's an application for your smartphone that replaces YouTube with an open source YouTube that allows you to have the same features that YouTube Red, that you have to pay for it, gives you, like play in the background, no advertising, stuff like that. Okay, so I give it to my friend, and he was extremely happy, and he went to college, and he was telling me that no one of his friends wanted to install that, even though they wanted such an app. And this was, to me, was extremely strange, and I've heard this so many times. They complain, they say, it would be so great if we didn't have advertising. Install this, and they say, no, I don't know. It seems so complicated. It seems so. It's so fascinating to me. Like, why? Jeez.
Yeah. And but then going back to this DuckDuckGo. So yeah, after a few months you get used to it, and you start to see that actually those links are quite relevant what DuckDuck gives you, and usually you find like real information. So after months or so you get used to it, and then like I haven't used Google maybe for a year or so, and then I needed to find some pictures or so DuckDuckGo didn't give me, you know, the results I needed. So I think, okay, I'll go to Google, and I just like tried to search something else there, and I was so irritated by Google because I start to see that all of the first place suggestions, they all clickbaits. I mean, not besides the adverts, there's like not relevant information there.
They became more and more I like to call them social. They want to be so cool, you know. They give you, if you search something that's from science, you don't get much interesting results. But if you search movies, you will get this really cool, like the latest movies. You can click see the trailer from there. Everything is like that. It's so cool. Yeah, because they want to sell, you know.
Yeah, attention sells, of course. Yeah, it's all about attention. So can you like go 100% open source?
Well, now we use Google Docs for reviewing books, because as we explained, and rarely I use Google Images because they have a very powerful search engine, and you can select types of images by license, by extension, you know. So I didn't find any alternative so far, but I'm sure there is another one called Start Page. Let me show you, because I added it to Firefox. So for our Firefox, if you search something like TROM site, you search it, it will search on DuckDuckGo. And you can see what annoys me when I go to images. You can search for different kinds of stuff, but you cannot search by license, and you cannot search by extension. Many times I want to search for like a PNG image or SVG like vector, and I can't. But you have this option, I think, with Start Page. This one, Start Page. Start Page is Google. They take the results from Google and they anonymize them. You see? So I think you have this. Any type. You see? JPEG, PNG, GIF. Maybe you can add more types. So this is like Google, but as far as I know, they anonymize everything, and it's more they don't track you. And you see, I think many people, I didn't understand this idea of, I wasn't bothered that much a few years ago that Google is tracking me. I said, so what? They give me the results that I want to see. So what? What's so bad about this? But it's a very slippery slope. And you realize that when you search something, you get the same results and you don't get into new stuff, and it becomes exactly like a bubble, like people say. It creates a bubble for you, and it really limits you. You won't think about this if you don't use other search engines or other services, but it really limits you. So that's what I noticed. That's why I didn't like Google anymore, because it was so like, they gave me so many similar results from my past searches. It was a bit crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's the main problem why if you switch to DuckDuckGo, let's say, and you get like these different search results, you kind of it feels a bit weird. It seems like it's not the information you want, but actually if you start to read it, you understand it's relevant, it's on the topic, it's maybe, shares different point of view, but it's information, it's not like clickbait websites. And as you said, it's right. When you search at Google, it gives you all the time the same websites, all the time the same information, which probably supports your views, because they track so much data out of you. They know, what color you like, what kind of political party you're supporting and crap like that, if you're, religious or not. And they just keep giving you the information which supports your views. So you can go there, you can spend more time. That way they have access to your attention more, and attention is money. So
yeah, and another one last thing, because Google is so popular, many are hacking it. They take advantage of it. I know I have friends who work doing SEO, like for websites, to get in the first results, and you will find so much crap there, because like search for something that is like medicine related or healthcare. You'll see a lot of crap on Google because people are gaming the rules of Google to get into the top, and they don't do that much with search engine like DuckDuckGo, for example. So that's another plus.
Okay, so if we go back to TROM-Manjaro, so like briefly, can you tell what have you added, how it's different besides the extensions and apps you added from Manjaro, like initial?
Yeah, let me show you the other software very quickly, because there are some very interesting ones here. So like here is like peer-to-peer. This is more like to connect with like a decentralized internet. The Tor browser, many people know this. It's a very secure browser, and you can use it to access different kind of internet. I'm not going into this, but it's extremely secure. And this Onion Share, it's such a cool and useful application, because it connects to the Tor server, and you can share files completely anonymous. So if you really want that, I'm not going to wait to connect to Tor server. Another one is this one, transmission for torrents, to download torrents. We have all of our materials on the peer-to-peer network, so you can download it using this. Or with this one, WebTorrent is a very useful torrent client, because it allows you to basically see the videos, like if you download the video before it downloads it. So you can go on VideoNet, videoin.com, it's another TROM project, and you can search for, you can go to any documentary and click the magnet link, and it will ask you to open with WebTorrent. This is what we recommend, to open with WebTorrent, and you can start to see a documentary in like a few minutes if it has many peers. It basically downloads content from all kinds of places. So this is extremely useful, and you don't have to wait to download. This is for VideoNet especially. Let me quickly go. Okay, something important that I've done is I prepared this operating system for the people who also want to help us edit books, translate books, maybe do voiceover for our videos. And on Linux it's a bit difficult to find PDF editors to edit our books. Our new books are in draw format, so it's easier for people to translate them, but older books need PDF editor, and the only editor that I could find, and it does the job, but it's not open source. So this is the only proprietary software here, but you have no alternative. It's the master PDF editor, and it's the free version from Manjaro repositories. That means it will always remain free, not like the Ubuntu version, for example, that is going to force you to upgrade. So it does the job, you know. It's trade free in the sense that I don't think they collect anything or do anything like that, but it's proprietary, it's for a company, from a company. So just to make people prepare for this, Aaron, who translates most of our books into German, uses this, and he needs such a program. And I also pre-install all of the fonts that we use for our books are on this operating system. So if you want to edit books, you have all of the tools. Let me go quickly to other. Same here, PDF editors. You have photo albums. You have players like music player, even a YouTube player. You have screen capture devices like I showed you. We use OBS, for example, to stream this. It's really interesting. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. You can do all kinds of scenes. You can stream on so many websites. This is what we use. Peak, it's just to create GIFs from, like, again, I have to report some errors that I see, and I use this to capture the screen and create GIFs to show like the developer of an application, because I'm quite active to report bugs for the open source community, and this is very important. I wasn't very used to this. If I saw a bug or something, I used to just ignore it or whatever. But now I go to the GitLab or GitHub where the code is put there for everyone to look at, and people submit bugs there, and I started to submit bugs like a year or so ago, and it helped a lot. Many extensions or applications got updated because I reported bugs. So that's really cool, because you contribute to the open source community, which is fantastic. Okay, you can record screen, you can blah blah blah. Tools, I added CPod. It's a really great podcast application. It's really interesting. I use it all the time to listen to science podcasts. I even added here some podcasts for you if you want to listen to them. Let's open it.
So how it works is just search for podcast online and just make your playlist?
Yeah, you can search directly from here, any kind of podcast, and you can subscribe to it, and that's it. You then listen to it. So,
but it searches through the whole internet, or it's only
I don't know.
Specific websites?
No, I don't know. I don't know how they do this behind the scenes, but I found some podcasts that are not well known at all, and I found it here, which is fantastic. And another thing about Linux, if you saw that, Dima, is that applications are usually, if it is a podcast app, it's a podcast app. It's not a fucking like click here to go to my Facebook channel, sign in, do this. It's simple. They don't have any reasons to put anything else. That's what I love.
That's what I love too. There's no adverts, and it's so amazing. It's free. There is no adverts, and you can also contribute. As you said, if you see some flaws, you can go and report about it, or coding.
Look at this. This is free YouTube, so you can search anything here. You can subscribe without an account. TROM documentary, and it works much better than a website works. You can go on. You can use this instead of Google or instead of YouTube, which is great if you want to watch videos on YouTube. You see, I can subscribe, and it will pop up here that I've subscribed to this channel, and you can click any video, and it's going to basically work. Look, I'm subscribed, and you don't need an account. That's really cool. You can even download the video. You see, it's really very interesting. It's free YouTube, free tube, no ads, nothing like that. It works much better, just in case people want to educate themselves. And okay, a note app and maps. Many people use Google Maps, because you asked me what applications do I still use that are not open source. Google Maps is still, in my test, much better than
The same for me.
Yeah, and I think it's the same issue because they have so many servers and they have so much data. You know, I don't know if anyone can compete with.
No, I don't think so. And also with this live view, like first-person view, I don't think anyone will be able to compete.
But for like a map with directions and stuff like that, I installed the map for you. That is free and open source. A few more things. Mind map, it's a great application that I use to write books for TROM. It's so interesting because you can, if you have an idea, you see you put different ideas and you connect them like that, and you can write here your ideas. And I like this. I like it to be visual, you know, to see what parts are connected to what parts. So it just does the job. It's really, really useful. Okay, let me see. Anything else? Okay, I even added recipes application, which is really cool. It's open source. If you want to cook, you can search here. Okay. You can. I've seen that they are mostly vegetarian here, so you will like that. I think that's cool because it's useful. You can start cooking and it gives you instructions. I have to admit I don't use this because I don't like cooking, but maybe Dima likes more than me. I don't like cooking. Okay, and a few other things quickly. Boxes is to test operating systems inside your operating system if you want that. This is for a webcam. Etcher, it's to create USB flash drives with operating systems. This one, KeePass. This one is, I use this. Without this, my life will not exist because this one basically manages all of your passwords. You put a password on this one, like LastPass, you know. You put the password and it saves a file with all of your passwords that are encrypted with your only password. So it creates a file. In that file you have all of your passwords, and you can open that file with many Linux software, even Windows or Mac. That's great because you can take that. Before I was using LastPass and all of my passwords were online, managed by who knows what company. Now I have, what if that company gets hacked, you know? Then I get an email and they say, oh, sorry, you know, your account was among the hacked ones. Please change all of your passwords. Yeah, right, 1,000 passwords. I'm not going to change them now. So this one is really great, and I integrated it with the browser. So if you create a simple database, you put a password, then it's going to integrate with the browser, and every time you punch in a password here, it is going to save it if you want to, or you can just select and it will log in automatically on websites. So it's extremely useful. Do you use this?
First time see this. I need to research.
It's really good. It's really, really good. Okay, I think I have another few, and then okay. Anyways, this is open desktop application. Through this you can install so many themes and customize everything on your operating system. Themes and plugins and stuff like that. You should explore it, of course. I'm not going to go through this all. And just before last one, I have VeraCrypt. This one is going to encrypt your any hard drive that you want, or any file. You can make a folder, and you can encrypt it, put a password on it, and it's extremely okay. So what I wanted to show you, that is the most important aspect on Linux that I find, and it's so fucking useful, is the fact that you don't have to install applications using the browser or anything else. Even Ubuntu it sucks compared to this, because here in Manjaro you have one package manager, meaning it's like a software center, and this is the only place where you are going to install applications. You don't have to download anything, not even app images. They are really cool, but you don't have to install them. You simply go here, you search for anything, GIMP, and it's going to work. It's going to, like, you see it's GIMP, you select it, you apply. If you want to get some options for GIMP, if you want to install them, you can. If not, choose and commit, and that's it. Punch in the password and everything is going to be installed.
Okay, and where to install it?
It installs in your operating system. You know, it integrates everything.
But how can I access it?
Linux software is developed in a different way. They collaborate with each other. It's like a huge community. So, for example, GIMP is releasing the open source, and they have the option to put it in some online repositories like servers for people to access it through such software centers. If not, because it's free, most of the time the developers of, say, Manjaro, they take the source code, they compile it, they put it on their servers, and you can access it from here. You know, they do that all the time. So here you can find pretty much, if it's a program on Linux, you will find it here. Okay. This is extremely useful. I can't tell you how useful it is, and it updates everything. You know, I really love this. I love it so much because when I used Ubuntu, many times I had to use the terminal, you know, and people are scared of the terminal. I am not that scared, but it becomes a monster because you don't know what you have installed, you don't know what commands you put in here. You know, maybe you do something that you cannot reverse. But here with this one, any type of, like, even crazy applications that are very obscure, you are going to find here. Just a click away. And I completely love this. You don't have to do anything, basically. And I'm going to explain one last thing before we close this chapter. There is only one caveat to all of this, and that caveat is that based on what Dima asked me, where the software is coming from. They have two places in Manjaro. One is their repositories, their servers basically, that the software is tested, you know, everything is okay. But that is limited because the Manjaro team has to take the software, test it with their operating system, and see if there are bugs or stuff like that. And on top of this, Manjaro also has what is called AUR. AUR is what people submit to this. It's a huge repository. It works, most of these applications here work like 99% of the time. Very rarely you will find something that doesn't work. So you have two repositories and AUR repository from the users, Arch user repository. You know, so that's the only thing that you have to keep in mind. Why I'm telling you this? Because when I compiled this operating system, I could not install the applications that are from the AUR. For security reasons, they don't let you, so it's complicated. And the only caveat here is that you have to install them manually, but that's so busy. Like I will make a web page to explain all of this in a more like visual way, but it's so easy. It's like there are a few applications that are not installed when you install this operating system, and you have to install them manually. Without them it's okay, but if you want them, like onion share, you know, it's as simple as search here for onion share. You can find it here. It's already installed, but you can find it, you can mark it for installation. The next one, just to give you an example, okay, I paste it in here. I find another one, click it, two pending operations, as you can see. After you put all of them, apply, install, that's it. You know, that's the only caveat, and it's not a big deal. Or you can copy paste this into the terminal and it will install, but if you don't want to have anything to do with the terminal, you know, many people are scared of the terminal, but what is cool, you know what I used to compare it with? When Google or others are trying to put a virtual assistant in the phone. So you can say, set up the alarm for 3 p.m. tomorrow. It's a direct communication from you to the phone to give the phone an instruction. You don't have to go to hoops and loops, go to settings, go to here, go to there. The terminal is exactly like that, only that it works with text, and it's 1,000 times more powerful. You can say, install these applications, do this, do that, you know, if you know how to communicate. It's basically a language problem. So that's what it is. And okay, so that's the operating system, and basically everything is set up except a few AUR applications, and I hope you find it very useful because it's just install and that's it. Most of the settings are set up. You should set up a backup I will teach you how later on, but it's super easy. And if my parents can use it successfully and they don't find any problem, can you, like Dima, you used Windows. Do you see how ridiculous it is when people say that it's difficult to use Linux now?
No, of course not. It's basically the same in terms of usability of access. You don't even, after a few months, you don't even notice the difference if it's Windows or Linux.
But I think that is a lot better than Windows, because just think about the following. Let's say you want to install VLC. On Windows, what do? You have to go on Google, search download VLC, go on their website, find the download button. You will click an ad first time, because I'm sure you don't know which one is the download button. You will click download the file, double click it, then next, agree, install toolbar, no, yes, how old are you? Are you sure? Yes, ask your mother, okay. And then you install. How do you do it here? VLC, search for VLC, mark it for installation, apply,
and just install.
And choose.
Yeah, it's really easy. But you know what? I think many people doesn't switch to Linux because they're not, they don't have a substitute for some software, you know. So if people get used to use some kind of software, let's say video, audio editors, and they're not supported on Linux. So people kind of afraid of switching to Linux because they won't get access to the software they used to. I mean, it's good for us and other, let's say, alternative thinking persons who really want to support this open source and free software ideas, because it's perfect, you know. It's a perfect ground play for searching and developing it. I think in some ways even maybe easier than on Windows or Macs. But still, if we're looking at the statistics, there's only 2% of Linux users who are using desktop. Yeah, there's no kind of desktop and laptops. So yeah, I think that's the main issue. So yeah, I'm looking like at the stats. There is like 88% is Windows, about 10% Mac, and 2% is Linux.
Yeah,
so I think that's the main issue, that people are afraid they're not gonna get the stuff they get used to.
But you know, as a counter argument to that, I feel like most people, they don't use computers for more than browsing the internet anyways, like laptops. If you take most of the people, I think if you look at statistics, most people, they don't do video editing, photo editing, they don't depend mostly like on Chrome or something like that you can install on Linux. So I think it's more of a problem of they just don't have the resources to push these operating systems, because Windows, when you buy a computer, you buy it with Windows.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Apple the same. So I think that's the problem. And even this operating system, I know most people want to use it because they will find it difficult, but for those who want to use it, at least, you know, they have an alternative. And I'm using it, you know. I know it's a bit uncomfortable at first to switch to another operating system, but to me, I wouldn't be able to put up again with the crappy Windows and the closed ecosystem of Apple. So I'm using my computer like a tool. That's why I created this, for other people to take this tool and use it. I hope they will, at least a few. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the link a bit later on about this. So that's basically the entire operating system. That's basically it. I mean, yeah, if my parents use it, you know, you can use it too, I'm sure. Anyone can use it.
Of course, yeah, for simple uses as browsing internet, answering emails, and going on YouTube, there's no difference really if you're using like Linux or...
And if you are motivated enough, I mean, I was doing video editing, photo editing, a lot of stuff on Windows, and now I switched. But I think you have to be motivated. If you are not motivated to appreciate, you know, what open source is and what it stands for, I think that's what you need, because you will adapt very quickly. It's very easy to adapt. And by the way, the updates, everything on this computer is going to update automatically. Every piece of software, everything from the software center. you will basically get a notification here, click update, and that's it. Everything will update. Everything is really secure. So that's fantastic. Okay, I will leave this behind because we have to, like, for a few minutes talk about other stuff. Okay, let me set up something. We want to talk about some news. We have, for those who don't know, we have a TROM Curated news. We have on our TROM site, we have lots of sources, RSS sources mainly, that are feeding a lot of news from trusted organizations and projects. And I was thinking, if people maybe may not use it, maybe we can make them a bit curious about what news we can find there, and we can discuss quickly about a few of the news. I came up with some news that I found this week, and Dima came up with a few, and I'm going to I'm changing to the news section. You see, so this OBS is so cool, you can change it to all kinds of scenes. So you want to start to bring up a news that you come up with, because I can bring it forward for you.
Yeah, so yeah, the first one I found interesting is about the robots.
This one?
The robots. Yeah, exactly. The one. Yeah. Will they work with us? There is interesting video and generally just discussion about how robots are integrated in our life, and the conclusion there that at this point we're more kind of collaborating with robots rather than giving the task on their own. So it's kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think it's a series by PBS.
You can watch more. Yeah, there. So then I found interesting about Greenland ice sheets. So it's melting and it's really on a fast rate in the last 150 years, and
every time
interesting to read.
Yeah.
You want to add something?
I was like, every time I see such news about climate change, it became for the past years so abundant that it's almost like desensitized you. Like, you don't even know what to take in, because every week is like, we are fucked. This is happening. And I think people, in a sense, people have become a bit like, I've heard this last week and I don't realize the impact. I feel like.
Yeah, and actually about the Greenland, it's so interesting because like the Greenland is it's basically the island which has so many ice, the last of the frozen ice caps, and they're melting so fast. But the population there, or not maybe the whole population, I mean there are about like less than 50,000 people living there only. So, but they see a lot of advantages of that. The ice is melting, and they start to selling their land. There are a lot of oil companies coming in and trying to dig more oil on the new open grounds, and even the Arctic melting is so profitable right now because other oil companies now can transfer. Not only oil companies can dig now in the new open area, to get more oil, but also because of the ice melt, now there are ship routes from like Asia and China to Europe, and it's like faster to go that way through the Arctic if there is no snow. So in a way, to earn more money, they contribute to the global climate
change.
Yeah, global climate change even more, because they just polluting there. They produce much more emission right in the Arctic, which is already so fragile. And they find opportunities all the time. It's not like the ice is melting and we are on this downhill road, but we can make a business out of this. I've seen documentaries about this. They bring in new tourists to see the landscapes. It's much easier. They make trades with they need big ships to transport stuff, so now they say, okay, we can do that in the north. It's much easier, it's much cheaper. Such a diseased mentality. It is, and actually, yeah, the president, they don't have really president. It's like different title, but still it functions as a president of the Greenland. She was so happy about that, and that we've got now this monetary opportunities to earn and be independent from Denmark. I will put a link to the cool documentary on this topic, Arctic Business. It's on VideoNet, so you guys.
It's from VideoNet, I think. Huh?
Yeah. I've put the link on YouTube chat, so.
Oh, perfect.
It's really interesting, yeah, to watch. And then one more news which I found interesting. It's that you can be forgotten. It's called How to Be Forgotten If You're in EU.
Yeah,
so
I don't know where that is. Is this one?
Let me see. No, it's called How to Be Forgotten If You're in the EU. So idea is, if you want to remove all your personal data from internet, if you're European guy, then you you have rights to do this. You can submit the form to Google, and they oblige to remove all information.
Yeah, what I find problematic with this is that for one, it's a bit, I think, difficult to enforce this on Google, and second is you never know exactly if Google is going to delete it, and third is like, Google is like saying you don't want to be tracked, turn off your GPS or something like that, but then some applications are not going to work. So what if they put now a law in Europe with the about user data, and they force companies to tell you what they collect about you, and in my view I think it's a failure, because it is not going to stop them. They tried before to stop them, but they have so much motivation to get people's data, then they will find loopholes all of the time. Like some websites may even close for you. They say, okay, you are from Europe, you cannot access our website. So
Oh yeah.
They will find all kinds of loopholes. And speaking of that, I was finding some stuff here, like Google, the DuckDuckGo, the company behind them, the organization, they made a study, and they realized that Google Chrome has this incognito mode, because we were talking about bubbles, and they say that that incognito mode is private, but they realized that it is not private. Even that is collecting data about people. They know where you search things from. So if you search on incognito and I search on incognito, two different search results for the same words, which is interesting, because you may think, it's incognito, it's safe. No, it's not.
No,
it's not. So it's
no surprise, actually, but yeah.
Yeah, they did this study, and I liked how they presented it with exactly what they did, what they searched for, which is really, really cool. So all of these sources, and I will show you two more news, are from TROM News, and I think this is extremely interesting to have this is the TROM News, to have a feed from many sources. Is like an RSS reader, if anyone knows what that is anymore. It's like a Facebook feed, but without the crap. And it's filtered to not see clickbait articles, or everything comes from all kinds of really secure, really trustworthy organizations. Just so you know this, all of these news are from there. This is my only news outlet. That's what I read every day, and we are adding more and more sources. Another thing that I found in a more, before I go to the more positive way, let me give you another negative one. So it's about, let's see, it's about Facebook. As Facebook is adding now some filters, as far as I've read, that if you talk in a sexual way with other people, they are going to ban that as well. They are not going to let this kind of sexual solicitation or whatever they see as.
Is it for chatting, or it's for?
It's for comments or posts, as far as I understand.
Okay.
Even like looking for a good time tonight, it can get you into trouble, something like that, which seems like stupid, but I know Facebook, and I I think they can do all kinds of shitty things like that, because they already had a policy against nudity, because in our world nudity is like, it's worse than war, so you can post about war, yeah, but not nudity. You know, Jack Fresco said it very well. I think he said that if people were as put off or angry about nudity or about wars that they are about nudity, so that will change the world. If you are so put off by wars like you are so put off by nudity, I think that would be a smarter society to have. They are crazy with such things. I never understood, like, what's the problem? They have so much crap on Facebook, and I'm going to showcase in the last parts of the book that I'm working on that with all of these laws, all of these rules, you can find lots of porn and lots of people committing suicide on Facebook. It's full of such videos, full of such photos. It's not going to work. It's only going to affect people like you and me, because I got banned 2 times by Facebook because of nudity, because I posted a documentary that had a poster that was a bit like about nudity. It was a scientific documentary. They banned me 24 hours. I couldn't access anything, so good job. You saved the world. Okay, so I have 2 more like positive news for you. So MIT has developed a printer that is 10 times faster than 3D printers, because you know how slow 3D printers are, and 10 times faster, it's huge. And this comes from a website that is not really clickbaiting, so they have to improve on the quality of the print. But imagine if it's 10 times faster. This is the real time. If it's 10 times faster, imagine that it's a lot more useful. Because if you want to print something, I always hoped that this revolution with 3D printing, and many hoped for it will come sooner, but I feel like it's much slower. Like with any technology, it was a lot of hype, but it gets slower. So this is a positive news. That I think one reason is that they are very slow. You put something to print, you have to wait 6 hours, you know. So yes, and the last news, it's about a new phone that they want to make a new phone that has an open source operating system, which is always positive and, well, hopeful. But I don't know, I'm a bit skeptical about this, because Firefox, actually, I don't know if you know that Firefox created an operating system for mobiles. Do you know Firefox OS? They created. You are not aware? No, they created like a lot of advertising for it and stuff like that, and I think in 1 or 2 years it died. And they are a big organization, so I feel like if they failed with Firefox, I don't know if we are going to see a phone that has an operating system that is open source. It's a phone called Purism. It's the most advanced company in this field, but because they are a company, I doubt a bit their strategy. So we'll see what happens. But for me, mobile phones are compromised. I don't even use a mobile phone, very rarely. I use one. Do you use a mobile phone, and do you have Android?
Actually, I decided to. Actually, I lost my phone about 7 or 8 months ago, and since then I decided, okay, I'll try to live without it, and yeah, I've been living quite happily. I mean, I found a lot of complicated situations without phone, like if you go to other country and let's say I'm booking a hostel and then I cannot access it, or I cannot call the guys. So such situations like that, or yeah, let's say with some banking or stuff I had to do, and also they need a phone number. So some services you cannot access without a phone number. But I'm doing it's like an experiment, and it's really interesting and funny. But yeah, there are some certain things which really complicated without a phone. Not that you need maybe like to call somebody, but just to have the phone number to put it in register somewhere.
Exactly.
Because without phone number you cannot get access to some certain things. Yeah, but before, yeah, I used Android, and I know Ubuntu. They've got this Ubuntu Touch, but it only supports very few models, and they're kind of,
Is
I don't know.
discontinued. It doesn't.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't have the money to do it
yeah.
because it's so impossible to compete with. I think there are just 3 or 4 like Apple, Samsung, Google with their Pixel, and Huawei in China, and very few can compete with them with their phones. Like, because if you make a Windows operating system, you also have to have like a line of phones from a company
Yeah.
to collaborate with them. Else, who is going to use them? Even it took me a long time to buy my first phone. I was the only one who didn't have a phone, and people were like, where can I call you? I was like, just send me an email.
Yeah.
I don't have a phone. How they were so shocked that I don't have a phone.
Yeah.
I just don't have a phone. And even now I don't use it. I use it to talk to my parents maybe, but I just don't use my phone. I know people who are so stressed out because phones are not phones. They are basically social networks with a small feature to call other people. You know?
Exactly. Nobody uses it like today for calling. It's like for social media and Facebook notifications. Yeah, and like people also so shocked when I say I don't have phone. They're like, "What? Huh? Seriously? How can you live?"
Now they are
And,
shocked when you say that you don't have WhatsApp or Facebook.
oh yeah, right. Yeah, I don't have WhatsApp. I still
What?
got Facebook. Yeah, yeah.
And it's so relaxing. I know that many people are so stressed out when they go out with their phones because they get notifications all the time. It's, you never escape this. I remember when I know you too, you went to computer like places back in the days where you could play games, where
Yeah.
new torques or of gaming, and I was thinking that what if then someone will tell me that I will have a computer in my pocket. I will say, yeah, that's cool, but it's kind of bothering, you know, to play games and shit like that, and everybody to bother me. I'm not sure I want that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't see that much of an advantage. When I am out, no one can bother me, you know, maybe 5 people, but I don't get notifications to see. What's the point when you go out, but you stay there in your phone, you know, with your face?
Yeah. Exactly. Or what's the point? Meet other people and
Yeah.
when everyone just checking their status.
Yeah, that's
looking at
annoying.
Facebook. Okay, that's just like huge topic.
Yeah.
It's all hours about
Yeah,
that.
let's not go there. Let's go to the chat to see if there is any message there or not. Okay.
And I think then we have to wrap up and suggest the documentary on open source.
Ah, yeah, I forgot about the documentary on open source, but let me go a bit through on the chat here to see.
So while you read, maybe I can post a link to this documentary. So there's a really cool documentary called Revolution OS. I will put the link in the chat. And it's a bit old. It's like 2001, but basically it explains everything from the root, how everything started, like the open source culture. It shows the guys who created it, like Richard Stallman, and also it says about Linux and all the ideas. It's very informative, and even it's like 17 years old, it's still very actual and relevant today. So anyone interested, you know, to know more about open source and the history and how it's functioned and how it's all started,
there are very few documentaries about.
Yeah, before the live chat, I researched and watched several documentaries, and this Revolution OS is the most informative.
Okay, let me go to comments a bit. So Yoav is saying that it looks like we look apart from each other. I'm looking in one side and you in the other side, so maybe we can switch. Okay, if that's
next time.
how it looks like. Okay, great show. Okay, and hi to everyone who said hi. Okay, great show, thanks. The new layout is okay. So you like the new layout? of this. Yeah, I worked a bit these days. Is the first time that I work with OBS, so but it's so easy to make any kind of layout. So someone once told me, if you ever build your own website, get your mom to test it. Okay.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's funny, but you know what? That's what I do.
But that's a good point. I mean,
yeah.
If it works with parents, then it's probably okay.
Yeah.
You can release it.
And my mother can tell like what is the internet and what is Facebook and what's the browser. So if it works for her, I'm happy.
Yeah. That's the funnest part.
Someone is suggesting another YouTube video converter and downloader. Okay, that's good. I will for me I will not rely on an online tool, because they usually change their strategy, so it's a better idea to have a program on your computer in my view. Yeah, Handbrake is really great. Free media player. Yeah, but we have SM Player. I installed SM Player. It's like a VLC, but it's, in my view, it's much better. If you want to install VLC, go for it. But SM Player, it's great. It has all of the codecs, everything. Okay. What is the most recommended hardware? I want to set this up for my kids. The recommended hardware. You can go on manjaro.org. Can you type it there so that I don't lose track on the manjaro.org? You can go there and they have laptops. They sell laptops with Manjaro that are optimized for Manjaro. The problem with people who sell Linux hardware is that it's very expensive, because they are not big companies, that they cannot cut down the price. So that can be very... But I recommend that, and usually it works. Just don't buy something with an NVIDIA graphic card, because it's a pain in the ass. Buy something with an Intel incorporated graphic cards, and it's going to work out of the box.
Yeah, I also suggested to visit Ubuntu website. They got like page of certificates, hardware. It's possible to scroll through and see supported laptops for Ubuntu.
Inkscape, people talk about Inkscape. Yeah, it's in our pre-installed software. It's great for vector editing. And Linux is also great with old hardware. So Windows may not, or Mac OS may not work with old hardware, but if you put Linux, it's usually going to work with older hardware. It will put some life into your hardware. Okay. The size of the ISO, the operating system, is 4 gigabytes. It's a lot, because it has a lot of pre-installed software and settings, so that's why. So it's a bit bigger. I don't think it's optimized for a Raspberry Pi or any piece of hardware like this. How to start with this operating system? I will give you, after I'm reading here, I will give you a Dropbox link. You can download it and blend.
Oh, the guys telling that they can see on the bottom of the chat on the live stream.
Yeah, because I don't think I have control over that.
Okay.
I see only the here. It's live, but yeah, no, I can't do anything right now.
Okay. Well, it's possible to see on YouTube then.
So I'm going to them. They like the tools. Yep. Yep, Celestia, it's an app for exploring the entire universe. And it runs on Linux and Mac OS, and yes. Yeah, so I see that some people really know a lot about some of the apps. You want to see more in the curious section, more applications. Well, yeah, I cannot add more, but yeah, you should send me some suggestions on Riot, but I don't want to put too much stuff because I already added a lot. Qtalks. I see you replied to some people's.
Yeah, I was trying.
Jitsi, other people are using Jitsi. Yeah, it's really great and it works really well. We tried last time to stream with Jitsi directly to YouTube. It didn't work because they have that in beta. Now I take the stream from Jitsi, I put it in OBS and I stream with OBS. What do you use for music instead of Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Red? What do you use for music? Well, you can, let me show you. You can, I will give you a link. I created a website if you want to listen to music. It streams from YouTube and it's okay. I did it for myself. It's called musicwave.com. You can use it, but usually like on your phone you can use NewPipe. I think it's called like that. From, how does that open source store called? F-Droid, right?
Yeah, F-Droid.
F-Droid. If you can install that. I don't listen to music that often, and I think, Dimar, do you listen to music or are you just making music?
That's weird thing about me. I'm making music but not listening.
You don't listen?
No, not too much. Very rarely, but yeah. It's kind of really weird for a musician to do this, but I realized after a time that I'm actually enjoying playing it and enjoying the experience of creating, not much as listening. And I think it's, although it sounds weird, I think it's normal when other people, let's say, they enjoy listening more than to play it. So
yeah, but you know how to play it, because I don't, so I have to listen.
yeah, if you don't know how to play it, you have to listen.
Let me give you the link to the Manjaro. I will give the link in the chat, and then I'll put it in the description, and I will share it everywhere. You go here, you download it, you put it on a flash drive, test it. Just keep in mind that this is like a beta, I have to test it more. So put it on a flash drive and boot from it, and from there on you can basically test it. What happens, someone asks me if we are going to update the system. It's not us who are in control of this, it's Manjaro. So whatever I put there are tools that come from basically their repositories. So your system will always update, you know. And as for the settings, like privacy settings and stuff like that, I cannot push any such updates because I don't even think that I can to change your settings for your browser or something like that. So if we are going to put something new in the new version, I'm going to make a page. We'll see about this because I have to figure this out. But your system will update constantly, so you don't have to download another TROM-Jar version. Have you done research on the peer-to-peer that project? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Yes, DuckDuckGo. Yes. Baker browser. Yes, people. Okay, talk about it's a new browser that allows you to basically decentralize a website. Instead of saying www.tromsite.com, you have a .URL, and your website will stream from your computer to whoever is accessing it, and they can stream back the, it's like a torrent file. Did you know about this? It's really interesting. It's called the Beaker browser. It's so simple. You can install it from the application center. Just search Beaker browser. I have it installed and I'm playing with it. I contacted the people behind it, and it's still in development, but it's an interesting project to keep an eye on.
Okay, I will see.
MadeSafe project.
I'll check it out.
Check MadeSafe project, sort of secure permanent blockchain-based data storage model. Okay, I'm going to put it over here to test it. Okay, well, we are going to spend a few more minutes just because we don't want to make this too long, but I'm happy that people are using the chat. Startpage.com is included in the operating system. Yeah, it's another Q1 operating search engine. I know about it. Maybe I will include it. It's on my list to check it. Photo chat. Okay. Okay, Tor software. Yeah, Tor software. It's that browser that it pushes your internet connection to other computers, and it encrypts it, and it makes it difficult to trace back to where the access started, where the first text expander. Yes, Master, put the PDF editor is good. Open. Are there any text editors for code? Yep. Let me show you quickly. VirtualBox here. It's this one. Text editor is the default one, but it's really cool because you can switch to all kinds of like CSS, C++, PHP. You know, it's simple, but it's easy to edit code. And there are others, but I didn't add because I don't think it serves any purpose. A blue light filter. Yoav wants to add a blue light filter. Guess what? It is a blue light filter in the settings somewhere. So if you search for that, you have a blue light filter. You can schedule it to activate after a certain time. Okay. OpenStreetMap. I think the maps that I installed are using something like that. I know OpenStreetMap is available online. I don't know, maybe it's available in the repositories. You have to check. KeePass, yes, it's great. Free VPN, use riseup.net. Okay, I'm going to add it to my list to see. Open Desktop. Yep, that's the Open Desktop is the application that I told you can install themes and stuff like that from it. It's installed in the Manjaro. Okay, VeraCrypt. No, yeah, I see that project Vice. You know a lot about this, so you explain a lot of stuff here. That's great. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, VRC, Linux, statistics. Okay. Okay. I think that's it. I hope that's it. We went through the comments, and I hope that you enjoyed this, because maybe we are going to make this every week. I think it can be useful, interesting, and every week to have a new subject. Maybe we'll bring more people here. So yeah, I think we can close the live stream and download the Manjaro, and if you find any bugs, please email through TROM site, and I will keep an eye on it to see maybe we have to fix something.
I think you have to add link onto the TROM Jara under the YouTube video in the description.
Yeah, I will in the description and
later.
comments, and I will share it online, and yep, I will do all that. And I hope that you like this new setup, because I think it's much better, and I have control. I can show you stuff with this, and yep. Okay, thank you everyone who is commenting in the chat, and thank you Dima, and next week for sure we are going to make another one.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, people.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Stop stream.